You're retro trekking with the Caramel Apples podcast, the apple snack that brings you a retro vibe, both crunchy and sweet, with your hosts Kennedy Rizzo and Cooper Lee.
This week on the Retro Trek with the Caramel Apples podcast, coming up, what's your thoughts on tipping? Okay, so this is a beautiful, unseasonably warm autumn afternoon.
Yeah.
And we just decided to sit down for a few minutes and talk about something. We're always gabbing on about something.
Yeah.
And, you know, this has come up in our topics for conversation quite a bit on and off. And, you know, we get to thinking about things and it's like, the wide, wide world of tipping. I don't know. That's a weird one.
It is. And sure, there's probably a lot of people who have some sort of opinion on it. Good or bad, there's probably an opinion, because tipping, as far as we were concerned, has been around for a long time. There's been industries where it is definitely a necessary part of the wage for the employee.
That's right.
So we definitely can understand why that has been a part of culture in employment.
Yes, this is a very important topic. So it's neat that you brought that up, Coop, because I mean, like, that's just one more facet or one more layer in society that people may have chosen to go down this road, but some people just fall into it by default for obvious or, you know, unidentifiable reasons. But it's there.
Yeah.
It's still going strong. Everybody's got to eat. You think about, you know, the restaurant industry and service people, which work very hard.
Right. Yeah, like we're talking like, salons and definitely where someone's doing for you, kind of going above and beyond what you could do for yourself in said business.
Yeah.
And like you think of waitresses or waiters or whatever, they're making sure your placements are set. Some places they'll even bring the tray to you. They'll bring your food for you or carry your tray for you.
Glass topped off.
Right.
Napkins, that kind of stuff.
Yes, here's your fresh cup of coffee.
Take good care of you.
Yes, absolutely. And you want to take good care of those people.
You do. It's just a natural thing that wells up inside of a customer versus the server or whatever. You want them to feel like you appreciate their hard work for what they do and for you as a customer.
Right. Especially if you've chosen to dine in a place like that, you should be prepared to take care of their needs as they have taken care of your needs.
Give and take.
Exactly.
And so this is where our discussion picks up. This is where it ignites because that is just how it's always kind of been.
Yeah.
But we've been sliding downhill. As the years have gone by. Like when we were younger, we didn't eat out a lot, but we would go out. But our parents were always on top of it with tipping and stuff. And they didn't have a lot of extra money. But what you just said, you go out to eat and that's going to happen.
Right.
Even if the service, wasn't that great.
Right.
They still got a tip.
Exactly.
So here we are now in almost 2024.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you go to places, casual dining, and they're not even sitting down with a waiter or waitress. You go in, you're doing all the work yourself. You go in, you look at the board over your head, tell them what you want on your bowl or burrito.
Yeah.
And you get to the end there, and there's a little jar, a cute little cup there at the end talking about tips appreciated, which, okay, these people are working.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm thinking, if they're in that industry and that line of work, they're probably getting at least minimum wage, which I think, did you look that up, Coop, was at What did you come out with?
I think, and I don't know if this is like like across the board, but I think it's $7.25.
Okay.
At least here in our part of the world.
Okay.
And I think obviously, yes, you can go up from there, which is great. But I mean, you think back to when you were first employed. Can you kind of remember what it might have been?
Yes, and I thought I was rolling in the dough. I was 16. My first job, I worked at, and we had this in another episode early on our podcast. I worked at TCBY Yogurt.
That stuff was good.
It was good. That stuff was bomb diggity.
It was.
And of course that was part of the perks. We would get, free yogurt.
Sign me up.
Anybody for free froyo.
Yes.
But yeah, it was the minimum wage back then was $3.35.
Wow.
I thought I was rolling in the dough. And there was free froyo. So I don't know. I thought it was a pretty good deal. But $7.25 now.
Yeah.
That was what, 30 years ago?
Yeah, that's not real high.
Not much of a jump.
Yeah.
And there are still fast food restaurants. There are still casual, dining places where you can walk in and go get your carry out. And again, what's the running rate? So that's not a lot of money. And a lot of people are raising children. And they got these extra expenses because of inflation. Like, nothing's cheap anymore. You go get a book of stamps, and it'll about put you out of house and home. Like, I guess we won't be getting socks this weekend. I mean, we needed stamps for something. And now we'll get made fun of because they say, who steals a stamp? Y'all and Ma. We do, that's who.
Right.
But back to the tipping, though, like, like back when we were coming up, the only one that actually delivered things was the pizza guy.
Yeah.
I think we weren't married yet, obviously, but I remember here in our friend group conversation, people talking about tipping the pizza guy. And I'm thinking, tip the pizza guy?
Yeah.
Which that sounds probably cold-blooded, but I mean, like, you just think that was just part of what they did. They come and brought your pizza, you eat it, another day.
You just kind of assumed they made money because they are bringing you pizza. The place that you ordered your pizza from pays them. You would kind of think, but we were kids, so you didn't really understand all that.
So this goes on the concept of what our subject is today. So it's like that was kind of taken aback that, you need to tip the pizza guy?
Yeah.
Which that is a kindness, but now, okay, so people, that's a thing. Now there's DoorDash and some other, delivery services or whatever.
I wonder if they pay tip like Uber drivers too, or
I think you can.
Okay, so
everywhere, not a problem.
Yeah,
everybody's hands out though, so it's like I think it is a kindness. It is a good thing to help supplement what they get in their paycheck, but I think it's getting out of hand.
Yes, because one of the places that you really do see it is kind of like when you're maybe getting something small. Maybe you're buying flowers or you're in some little specialty shop or whatever, and they ring you out, and just before you get to the whole total, it'll come up like no tip 10%, 15%, 20%, customary tip on the screen, because everything's kind of, done digitally now,
That's right.
So you're, probably paying with a debit card or something. And the screen just pops up like automatically. It's like, but why? Why would we be tipping here?
So you almost feel like you're backed into a corner.
Yes.
So they're like, and then give you the eyebrow. If
Yes.
you push no, or the lowest amount on there. No, I know what you're talking about because, this is probably a couple months ago. I went to a local coffee house. And that's how it was on there. And it was like, oh my goodness, you just handed me my cup across the counter.
Yeah.
Does that really warrant a 20% tip? That'll be more than what we're even here for.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, I want to help you, but this is ridiculous. It's one cup.
And it definitely seems like that's just the culture now.
Yes.
I remember having this conversation with my hubby a couple 3 years ago, because it was prior to pandemic. Because we, like you and your hubby, you like to go get your food and then bring it home and then just kind of relax in your own setting and not necessarily dine in. And it's one thing when you plan on going out and like we started this conversation about, the waiter, seating you and then bringing your food and all of that.
Right.
So if you were, taking your food home, you could have this little area that you go, it's like take and go.
Yes. You
get in there and back there as well on the receipt, there's a place for a tip.
What?
And we've talked about, we're like, do we tip them or not? Because we, and this is prior to pandemic. I think this is when this new culture really got started, was during this time.
I think the accelerator pedal has been pressed on a lot of things since the pandemic.
Yes.
So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good. Because there was a seismic shift in a lot. A lot of things changed.
You noticed it?
Yeah. Ugh. And we were always confused, like, do we tip them or do we not? Mm-hmm. Sometimes we would, because like you said, there's that little shame factor. But we're like, they didn't do anything. We took our food home.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we wouldn't, because it was really, we just don't know. Who gets the tip? She's standing behind the counter handing you a bag. Does it go to the cooks?
This is professional panhandling. That's what it's tantamount to. Yes. I don't know. You might get better place standing on an interstate corner or street corner under a traffic light somewhere.
And like you said, then the shame factor kind of filters in that you didn't say yes or you didn't at least put $1 down or something. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It's just bananas. Yeah. It's different.
So, there's a time and a place for everything, and obviously tipping has its place.
Yeah.
But it is a little unsettling how bizarre and out of control the expectations of tipping in any given scenario is getting.
Yeah.
I think before we started our discussion today, we talked about, because Coop and I are in the process of possibly finding a hair salon, hairdresser. We have not been in years. Like, we just take care of our own business. So we have been out of the game for a while. And we've heard through the grapevine, some of our friends, or people, acquaintances talk about they go, and some of the prices they talk about, they charge now, which we know that nails and hair, it's almost 2024. You're going to pay a pretty penny if you get somebody that knows what they're doing. So, okay, we're fine with that.
Right.
So this one experience, somebody we know went and got their hair done. Super reasonable price.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like prices from back in the 90s. But this was a sticker shock for this person, and they were upset because the hairdresser was like, you know what? There's the little jar, the tip, whatever, and our friend gave her something. But I don't know if she wanted something back or just wanted to break it. Well, anyway, long story short, the hairdresser kept the whole
kit and caboodle.
The whole amount. And it upset our acquaintance. And was even like, you might not want to go there. Because we have been inquiring through our, through the grapevine, who to maybe go to. But like, that was a steal from what she described in the initials. Like, I wish we could find somebody that was only charging something from the 90s. But,
right? Yeah.
But, that's kind of an expectation, too, if you get your hair and nails done. You can't, they're already expensive.
Right.
You don't know what you're going to be paying for the service you go in there for. But will they want a tip, too? I know when we get our eyebrows threaded, same thing. There's always that little tip jar sitting over there by on their vanity or whatever. And you're just like, okay, give them a little something because they do a wonderful job.
Right.
But it's just, it was expected in those places, but now it is everywhere. You go to the car wash, nobody's there, and there's a tip jar. Like, what's this for? Is this for the birds that's flying around here? I don't know. I don't know. It's just ridiculous. And then,
well, you'd almost feel like if you went in a bank and saw a tip jar at the teller's table, you'd be like, what? It is literally everywhere.
Yeah, I think.
Or, you think back to, when we were children and it was like full service to get, mom and dad, they'd get gas. It was full service.
Yes.
I don't think they tip those people, but now you would walk in and the person standing behind the counter probably has a tip jar because they're willing to take your money and, ring you up. It's like, that's how different things are.
It's been eye-opening.
Yeah.
It really is. And you better be prepared. And people don't really carry cash anymore.
No.
So, like, everything's gone digital or whatever. So it's like, yeah, it's... So almost like the tips digitally are like a service charge that they've already baked into maybe their prices or something.
Right.
Like at a coffee house or a clothing boutique or something. So just so you know, archivers, I mean, if it's not a big deal to you, fine. But don't be blind to the fact that they got their hand in your pocket coming or going, whether you're complicit or not.
Right.
Like just be aware because you might not know when you're going to get that carry out or if you're going to get your nails done or something at the garage, mechanic, they're going to ask. You stand your ground, don't let them intimidate you into, giving something you're not prepared to or maybe not be able to afford to.
Yeah.
But that's life now. I don't know. Welcome to the wonderful world of tipping.
Yes, yeah. We're on the cusp of 2024. Who knows what's going to change in there? So.
And these big wigs, you pay these people a living wage. I think it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Because you go over the pond and they don't tip over there. Mm-hmm. Not even for full service dining. So what's going on over here?
Just a little different.
Yeah. So weigh in, Orchard Archivers, across the pond and here in the States. What's your opinion on the tipping culture, currently versus yesteryear? Let us know. Ready to go to lunch? We're totally carrying out.
And that's it for this week's Apple Snack. But as you know, there's always more where that came from. So stay tuned. Subscribe, rate, and review. If this resonated with you, please share it. Spread the word. That is the best way for us to grow our podcast. See you next time in the Retro Orchard, and thanks so much for listening.